Hey everyone, this is Steli After with Closeout, and in today's video, I'm going to teach you the 10 steps of how to design and conduct an effective mock calling coaching session. One of the most beautiful tools to train your sales team is the mock call, is to play out in real time what a cold call or sales call would sound like. A lot of teams do it. It's a staple in sales coaching, sales training, and in sales teams all around the world. It's been for many, many decades and for good reasons. But way too often I see sales teams do a really poor job on conducting mock calls and mock call coaching sessions. So today we want to stop that madness and give you all the tools and all the steps you need to really create powerful mock calling coaching sessions to really coach your sales team to sales excellence. All right, it's very, very simple. We'll go through it one step at a time. Well, step one is you have to play it out in full-fledged. It drives me crazy when people make mock calls and it starts with, well, why is your pricing so high? Now, that's not how a conversation starts usually, right? It doesn't even start at the hello, this is John. It actually starts at the ringing phase. And I know it's little details and some of you might disagree, but I love to play out the entire call as realistically as possible. So when I do mock calls with people, I start out by going ring, ring, ring. Hey, this is John. Because that's what the call will sound like. That's what the call will feel like. The first few things that you will hear as you're trying to have a call with somebody is the ringtone. So let's play it out. Let's make it as realistic as possible. Let's get into character in order to be able to get the most realistic, insights out of the call. So play it out in full. Include the ringing. Include the hello, this is Tom, whatever it is, and then go into the call as if it was a real call. And this really, includes point number two, step number two, which is if you're in most mock call coaching sessions happen in person. If you're in person, you can't just sit next to each other and look each other in the eye while you're making these mock calls. One of you or both of you should turn around. And the reason for that, again, it's details, but if you add enough of these details, they add up to what could be a great coaching session and what has ultimately become a mediocre one. In a call, you don't see the other person. That's pretty significant. You don't get any visual cues, you don't get any body language cues. Because these cues will alter the way you talk and the way you think and the way you perceive the conversation. So what you need is you need the ability to focus only on the voice. So if you sit there and you watch somebody and as you talk they make faces or they react physically in body language to it, that will change the conversation dramatically, and all these clues and all these influences wouldn't have been there and won't be there when you just call somebody. So no looking each other in the face or looking at each other's body while doing mock calls. One or both turn around. Ideally, you close your eyes or you're at the station that you're making calls. I love to do coaching sessions at the sales desk, right? Wherever the person is going to be making the calls, make that place the place that you do the mock calls with them. Because again, it creates a more realistic environment. So include the ringing, make it fully fledged out, realistic as a call, turn around, so no visual clues. And then for the person that's being called, for the coach, get into character. That's step number three. You really have to understand the person that's being called. Who am I? Who's the ideal customer? Who's the person that's being called right now? What is their position? What is their day looking like? What could be a realistic scenario in which they pick up the phone and they're being called? And you really want to get into character. You don't want to be like, oh, I'm a coach. I know Bob. Bob always does this mistake, so let me coach him about this. No. You focus not on who's calling you, not on the coaching session, not on the other salespeople that are watching or observing the session, not on lunch. All you obsess about as the coach is getting into character. Who am I? What is my life like? What is the situation I'm going to be in while I'm being called, right? Really get into character. What do I care about? What are my problems? Did I have a fight this morning with my wife or husband? Am I pissed at somebody? Get into character. So when you pick up the phone, again, it's a realistic situation. Sometimes you might be nice, sometimes you're angry, sometimes you're confused, sometimes, well, most often, you're distracted and you're not paying full attention. Be a real human being. Get into acting mode and get into your role, right? Don't be Steliefty or don't be the VP of sales or director of sales of company XYZ while you're making these calls. Be the person that they most likely are going to encounter when they call. Get into your character and into your role. Step number 4, record everything whenever possible. If you can only record audio, record audio. If you can record video as well, and the person that's the sales rep that you're coaching that's doing the mock calls, if you can point a camera and have audio and video to see how the body language changes when the exchanges are more heated or more difficult or challenging on the phone, whatever it is, the more you can record, the better, because these recordings are going to be gold. Both, they're going to show a progression and the journey that the sales rep is taking with each and every mock call, right? Isn't it a beautiful thing when you can show somebody the first mock call they made, and then 3 months down the line, and 6 months, a year later, and they can watch their growth and their projection, and you can watch their growth and their projection, because on a day-by-day basis, these differences are tough to tell and tough to spot. Anybody that has children knows about this, right? Growth when it comes slowly and change when it comes very slowly, one day at a time, it's very hard to distinct and to kind of really grasp. But if you have video material, if you have recordings, you can really see the progression of somebody, and they themselves can see their progression, their growth, and be proud of that and be fueled by that. And also, more importantly than even that, is that people that go through these mock call coaching sessions with you, they need to watch those calls. They need to watch those mock calls. They need to watch and listen to themselves talking to you, because in the moment it will feel a certain way, but they're going to be kind of all self-conscious. They're going to be aware that you are calling them and it's not a real call. They're going to be aware of their colleagues and other sales reps that are watching and observing and judging them. They're going to be in a different mental state of mind than what they typically are when they call somebody random. And they're not going to spot everything they say and how they say it and how they interact with people as they will when they are at home or at a quiet time, being able to have the space and the time to really, and the focus to really listen to themselves on a mock call. So make sure to record everything and make sure that reps listen to these mock calls afterwards and give feedback and analyze those afterwards, which is bringing me to my next step, which is step number 5. Have the sales rep critique themselves first. This is a cardinal mistake that people make, and sales managers and sales leaders make. You make a mock call with somebody and then you start critiquing them. You start giving them feedback instantly. Don't do that. Once the call is over, take a second and then ask them to analyze the call first. This is what I always ask. How did you feel this call went? What did you like? What didn't you like? What was good? What was bad? What's your analysis of this call? When did you have me? When did you lose me? Why did the call go the way it went? What is your analysis? The reason why I ask sales reps to analyze themselves is that I want to raise their self-awareness. I also want to know, how self-aware are they? How, tuned in are they on their mistakes or not? How good can they analyze themselves or a sales situation? How good can they interpret me as the buyer, my emotions, my frustrations, my pain? Or, are they, is their interpretation of what was going on completely different from mine, which might be a really big red flag, even if the call went okay. I want them to get into the habit of analyzing situations, analyzing conversations, analyzing and coming with up with conclusions and with action items and with learnings out of every single call they have, even when I'm not there. So I want to coach them to get better at analyzing calls in real time. So the moment they hang up, they know this went well, this didn't go well. And I want to coach them on that and not just on giving them all the answers and making them fully dependent on myself. Right? They always need the sales coach, the sales manager, the sales leader to tell them what they need to do better or what went well or what didn't go well, because if the outside expert is not there, they don't know, and they don't get into the habit of analyzing their calls every single day and every single call. You really want your sales reps to coach themselves as much as possible. So always start by asking them to analyze what went well and what didn't go well, and then give them feedback on that. The next step is that you always want to start easy and then increase difficulty levels. When I start with new reps, the first few sales mock calls we make, they should just be easy. And the reason for that is that you want to comfort somebody into the situation. For most people, I've made tens of thousands of mock calls in my life probably by now. For me, a mock call is nothing. But for most people, doing a mock call with me is nerve-wracking, right? So what I want to do is I want to comfort them. I want them to get comfortable with the situation before I challenge them with the real sales interactions. So don't make the first mock call super, super difficult until a sales rep is a bit more senior and you can expect that they're comfortable with the mock calling situation, and you really want to challenge them on the skill set. So start easy and then increase your difficulty and make a few mock calls. Never just make one. Allow them to do 3, 4, 5, 6. Frequency is really, really important, and repetitiveness is really important. And this is the next tip. Repeat this. This is like training. You don't go anywhere and just make one rep and you're done. You have to make tons of reps. No pain, no gain. And the same thing is true in sales. If you don't repeat it, you will never get to mastery. You're never going to master it if you don't, put in the work, quite frankly. So mock calls, calls, it's plural. It's by design. When you do mock call coaching sessions, plan in 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 60 minutes. Make it frequent and make it something that is consistently part of your sales onboarding, your sales training, your sales development roadmap. All right, the next step is focus on one area of improvement at a time. And this is a mistake I did for most of my career as a sales leader and entrepreneur. Is when I was critiquing people on their sales mock calls, I would give them too much feedback, overwhelm them with critique, pick out every little detail that wasn't right and told them all of it at once. The problem with that is that it overwhelms the rep and they don't know what to focus on. They don't know what to improve. The only thing they're left with is the feeling of failure and overwhelmment. And that's not where you want to leave people after mock calls. Where you want to leave them after mock calls is the feeling that they've trained, they're prepared, they've improved, and they're now ready to go and get them, right? So pick one thing you want to work with your sales reps and then stick to that one thing and really coach it, repeat it, focus on it, empower them to get better, like make a few calls and give them feedback, not just on how they didn't do well in that area, but also how they're improving in that area, and really build their confidence, build their skill level, their knowledge, their practice level, their experience around that one topic. I would really suggest to not do more than one topic at a coaching session. Even better if you can do just one thing that you want to work with the sales rep for an entire week of kind of mock call coaching sessions, right? You really want to focus on one thing, and once they truly improved and mastered that point, you can get to the next point. But focus on one area of improvement at a time. Don't give them feedback on everything. Just give them feedback on the one thing that matters the most, right? It forces you to prioritize them as well. The next step is that you want to, and the last two things that I want to say on this is that, of course, sometimes you don't have as much time, so you want to jump into a specific part of the call. A lot of times the beginning of the call is actually quite crucial. That's when the first 3 seconds when the person on the other side of the phone is going to decide, fight or flight. Is this a friend or an enemy? Am I being sold to? Who the hell is this? Why are they calling me? So the energy in the beginning is really important, but also, and then you might just want to jump into the area that you want to coach a sales rep with. But in an ideal scenario, you really want to make a few calls that are kind of full life-sized, the entire call from beginning to end, and you are not coaching them during the call. You are in character, feeling the emotions, the frustrations, the hesitations, the objections that a real buyer would have, and you sharing that with them honestly and authentically in the moment. But doing all these things, eventually, once a sales rep gets a little bit more senior, you really want to start amping up the intensity on these mock calls. And I have a simple mantra there: hard training, easy fight. Hard training, easy fight means we're going to make the mock call so fucking difficult that not a single call in reality will ever match it. Because if you're prepared to battle with me on a call where I'm the worst person in the world, or I'm aggressive, or I am quiet, not giving you any answers at all, if you can deal with these really edge case, difficult, challenging scenarios where you call real people that are typically usually fairly nice, it's going to be a piece of cake. It's going to be easy for your reps to deal with, and whenever something difficult pops up, they trade it. They're okay with it. They know how to handle it. So with the junior reps, you want to go easy and slowly ramp up the intensity. But with your reps that have been around for a little while, you really, on the mock calls, you really want to give them a tough time. You really want to make these calls challenging as hell to really prep them for the rest of the day and make the rest of the day a walk in the park. And then bonus trip, and the last step on all of this is, if you really want to master sales, and if your sales rep if they really want to get to that next level, you want to give them, once in a while, when a call was really brilliant, or a call was really challenging, or a call was really special, and there's lots to learn out of the mock call, you want to give them the time and the task to transcribe it. And that transcription, you can outsource that, right? You can pay 10, 20 bucks and have some service or some API transcribe the call, and then have the rep work through it, format it, and analyze it. That's not something you can do every day or every week, maybe just once a month, maybe even just once a quarter. But I'm telling you, if you go through 5 or 10 minutes of mock calling conversation, and you take that audio tape and you transcribe it and you format it, and then you have the sales rep kind of critique it and make notes and make comments, and then you do the same. You make comments on their comments, and they can read out loud. They can see the words on paper. That adds a different dimension to the way they realize their potential for growth or the areas of improvement. That's really next level shit. That's really mastery shit. Most people will never ever do that. But if you do, and you empower your sales reps to do that, you're going to see results. You're going to see growth, and you're going to ultimately see sales mastery within your team. And that's really what we're all striving for. All right, that's enough for me. I've given you my 10 steps to making sales mock call coaching sessions awesome and successful. I'd love to hear your comments, so you can leave them at the end of the video, or send me an email directly at stelly@close.io. And make sure to subscribe to our blog, blog.close.io. We publish, awesome tactical real life sales content 2 to 3 times a week. Until then, I'll see you very, very soon.